Alright guys, so as you can probably see, I am in a different location. That's because I have lost power at my place, so I had to come to my brother's place to do this video. So thank you if you're watching this for letting me use your place. And that means that none of this is mine. You know, I ain't on this level just yet, but we will get there one day, Team SDC, we will get there. But with that out the way, we have 11 games plus a couple of interesting news stories to cover today. So without further delay, let the day 135 recap begin. The man that has everyone's attention whenever free agency or the trade deadline comes around is Adrian Wojnarowski. I'm sorry if I butcher your last name. Most people will just call him Woj. He is most known for leaking trades and free agent signings before they even seem to happen on Twitter. I mean, before the players or teams even know they're about to do this trade, he has already announced it as official, and it always turns out like he says. Well, yesterday on his podcast, Woj said the Boston Celtics fully intent on heavily pursuing soon-to-be free agent Gordon Hayward this offseason, which should be no surprise to anyone at all, considering he is already a fan favorite in Boston.
I heard cheers before the game. I ain't like that at all.
Yeah.
I think there was some disrespect to me from the fans. That sparked a little fire in me.
Yeah, so that did motivate you.
Yeah, of course.
And Woj also insinuated that Hayward being a free agent is why Boston was hesitant to give up too many assets for either Jimmy Butler or Paul George at the trade deadline. Now, don't get that confused with they didn't want to trade for either of them, because they did. But you know, they just didn't want to give up too much. However, just because this news broke, don't think that means you can chalk up Gordon Hayward for going to Boston this offseason. It's not that simple. Utah fully intends on keeping their star as well, and they're currently in the 4th seed in the Western Conference, which is a big deal. That's a good place to be in the Western Conference. That is impressive. And you know, Utah does have a solid team around him, so prying him away from the Jazz will be a task. But you can't expect Boston to offer Gordon Hayward the max contract this offseason, plus just about every other team in the NBA that is interested in him. A couple of days ago, I mentioned the fact that Kawhi Leonard was drug tested immediately after his performance against the Houston Rockets. Well, yesterday, Ty Lawson was tested as well, except not necessarily for drugs, but for alcohol. In case you didn't know, the Kings point guard Lawson is currently on probation after pleading guilty to drunk driving charges after he was arrested back in January of 2015. And like I said, he was just tested to make sure that he hadn't been consuming any alcohol. However, rumors have it that he showed up to the test holding a half-empty bottle. Nah, just kidding. But he did fail the test 3 times, meaning that he has violated his probation and has a court hearing set for the 22nd of this month. And in all seriousness, alcohol addiction is nothing to joke about. It's not funny. A lot of people do suffer from this, and it really isn't cool. I'm hoping that Ty Lawson can eventually learn to put down the bottle because it will help him in the long run. I know Draymond Green was smiling when he saw this, and for those of you that don't know about Draymond Green, take a look at Draymond Green at his finest.
In game 2, it's the leg, guys. Watch the leg. Oh my God. The follow through on the foot gets you in trouble every time.
And that's the second time that Green, and let's say
and now take a look at Draymond Green's protege in his finest.
They're making field work, and they're bluntly just got kicked. It's supposed to be a foul, intentional or not.
I don't even think Green could have done it better himself. The swiftness of the kick, plus the accuracy and the force behind it was just so impeccable. And then the subtle, faint follow-up blow to make sure it was super effective. Bravo, Markieff. Bravo. Unfortunately for you though, however, the league now has the Draymond Green rule in place, meaning that any quote-unquote unnatural movements to basically hit another player will result in an automatic ejection, and Markieff Morris was ejected last night for hitting Mason Plumlee in the Nuggets. The injury bug strikes once again, and this time it struck one of its favorite targets, it seems. Anthony Davis went down against the Toronto Raptors last night. Take a look.
He's got 5 shots. AD on the lob, and it's blocked. He's got fouled, and Norman Powell pulled him down. Valanciunas came over in good position to block it. Powell couldn't have seen that. And it looks like, fortunately, AD is okay besides the shot.
After this, Anthony Davis would not return due to a wrist pain. He did have x-rays, and the x-rays did come back negative. You know, no actual damage or anything occurred apparently. So that is good news, and he is listed as day-to-day, which is great news because the only thing I can see stopping this duo of Cousins and Davis going into the future would be injuries. Stephen Curry hasn't been having the best shooting nights as of late, and rookie Jaylen Brown must have been letting him hear about it, as Jaylen Brown must have been trash talking Stephen Curry pretty well to get this kind of response out of Steph last night.
Curry with the fake on Jaylen Brown, drills it! He got the rookie up in the air, and Curry with a little something to say afterwards, expressing himself to the rookie.
Now, I've never seen Steph do something so direct to a defender that's been guarding him. Now, he does celebrate after he makes some threes, but he never seemingly calls out a defender and points to him while doing this. So, what Jaylen Brown was saying to evoke that kind of response for Steph is still unknown, but I'm assuming it was pretty good. However, that was still only one of 2 threes Steph would make last night. And that about wraps up all the news and extras from last night. Now let's jump straight into the games. Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge have both sit this one out for San Antonio, and it looked like the Kings were about to get the easy win. They had a 28-point lead at one point in time, and things really couldn't be going any better. Well, long story short, it's the Kings, and they often find a way to mess up a good thing or to make an impossibly bad thing even worse. They still wound up losing 114-104 to the Spurs last night. Patty Mills and Manu Ginobili led the charge for the Spurs last night. Mills was 17 points and 10 assists off the bench, and Ginobili had 19 points and 5 assists. Tyreke Evans scored 26 for Sacramento. Well, Davis went down in the first play of the first half, and New Orleans actually had the lead at the point, 46-45. However, it would be the Raptors in the second half who would make just enough baskets to escape with a 94-87 win. Jonas Valanciunas stepped up for Toronto last night, with DeRozan having a rare off game. Jonas had 25 points and 13 rebounds, and DeMarcus Cousins scored 25 points and grabbed 10 rebounds for the Pelicans. It's almost as cold here in Michigan today as the Warriors were from 3 last night, especially in the fourth quarter, which saw them get outscored by Boston 27-12, and the Celtics wind up with a 99-86 win. Al Horford returned for the Celtics after missing his previous 2 games. He had 10 points and 6 assists, but it was Isaiah Thomas who led the way for Boston with 25. Stephen Curry did score 23 points. However, he is still struggling to find his 3-point shot. Only 2 of 9 from 3 yesterday, and Klay Thompson had 25 points and was 2 of 8 from 3. And the Warriors as a whole shot 6 of 30 from beyond the arc. News may have broke about the Celtics' interest in Hayward come this offseason. However, that is currently none of Hayward's concern, as his concern right now is to win games for the Jazz, and that is what he did last night, as the 4th-seeded Jazz got the win over the 3rd-seeded Rockets, 115-108. Hayward was hitting shots for Utah last night, 8 of 13 from the field, on his way to 23 points, and Rudy Gobert continues to do his thing with 23 points and 10 rebounds. James Harden did have another 30-point night though, 35 points and 6 assists for Harden last night. The Wolves may have started this year off playing similar to the same team they were last year, and they will most likely end up back in the lottery like they were last year too. But at this point in the season, I don't think that they are the same team that they were last year. They are making strides. They got the 107-91 win over the Clippers, led of course by Karl Anthony Towns in his 29 points and 14 rebounds, Andrew Wiggins in his 20 points, and Ricky Rubio in his 15 points and 12 assists. DeAndre Jordan had 20 points and 13 rebounds for LA. Giannis Antetokounmpo was not going to let his team lose last night, as he knows how important every single game is at this point of the season if the Bucks still want to make the playoffs. Milwaukee found themselves down double digits in the third, but Giannis took over, scoring 22 of his 32 points in the second half to lead the Bucks to a 104-93 win over the Knicks. Antetokounmpo, like I said, had 32 points to go along with 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks, and Middleton also added 18 points. Derrick Rose scored 26 for New York. Some great shooting and a timely kick to the nuts was enough for the Wizards to get the 123-113 win over the Nuggets. John Wall led all scorers with 30 points and 10 assists. Bradley Beal also chipped in 23 points, and Otto Porter Jr. had 22 for Washington, as they were on their way to shooting just under 57% from the field on the night. Gary Harris scored 26 for Denver, who are still without Jokic due to illness. Back-to-back triple-doubles for point guard Elfrid Payton, and this time it resulted in the 98-91 win over Chicago. Payton had 22 points, 14 assists, and 14 rebounds on the night, and Fournier had 20 points. Jimmy Butler, like always, led the Chicago Bulls with 21 points and 9 assists. I never would have thought at this point in the season the Heat would have a better record than the Charlotte Hornets. The differential between the two teams grows even greater though last night as the Heat get the 108-101 win. Both the Heat and the Bucks are now actually only a half game behind the Bulls and the Pistons for the 7th and 8th seeds out east. 24 points and 5 assists for Dion Waiters and Goran Dragic at 22 points and 10 assists. Kemba Walker did do his thing though for Charlotte with 33 points. The Pistons had a shot to tie Indiana for the 6th seed in the East last night, but it just wasn't meant to be. 115-98 is your final score. Paul George was dialed in for Indy last night, connecting on 7 of his 12 shot attempts on his way to 21 points and 8 rebounds. Thaddeus Young also played well with 18 points and 8 rebounds for Indiana. And after his heroic efforts against Chicago, Reggie Jackson returned to normal for Detroit, scoring 6 points on 1 of 8 shooting. The Brooklyn Nets fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive last night as they now just have to win every last single one of their games and hope that both the Pistons and the Bulls and just about every other team in the East lose every last single one of their games from now on. Winning last night would have been a great start for the Nets. However, just like the other 51 times before, they will once again come up short of a victory. They were close though. 110-105 was your final score as the Hawks deprived Brooklyn of their first win streak of the year. 24 points for Paul Millsap and Dennis Schroeder had 31. Sean Gilpatrick was hot off the bench for Brooklyn with 27. And that about wraps up all the action for the day 135 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. And now it's time for the player of the day. Yesterday, you guys selected Dirk Nowitzki and his 25 points and 11 rebounds and career 30,000 points as your player of the day. And here are today's nominees. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo and his 32 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. Elfrid Payton and his 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists. Karl Anthony Towns and his 29 points and 14 rebounds, or John Wall and his 30 points and 10 assists. As always, you guys can go vote for the player of the day right now. The link to the poll will be in the description box down below. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to leave a like on it if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching Team SDC. You guys are the best. Have a great day, and until tomorrow, keep getting the buckets, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace!